So let's talk about that. What advice would you give to people? Because I think people can really overdo it, like you say, like wanting to pray 25 hours a day. But there is a way of aligning the deen and the dunya, right? And I think you're an example of that, in that you have a career, content creation, but it's values aligned with yourself as a Muslim. What advice would you give to young people out there who are thinking about careers and thinking, I want to make money, I want to do it in a halal way, and ideally find the best of both worlds, this kind of like, Muslim version of ikigai, something which makes money, something that you're good at, something which does good for the world, but also, fulfills your purpose as a Muslim.
I think this is something that Shanaz talks about quite a bit.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm so mashallah, we always say, like, me and Shanaz, mashallah, alhamdulillah, we're extremely aligned in terms of our mindset, alhamdulillah. But just to preface, in terms of, I wouldn't say I'm an example. That's a very strong word. That's a very strong words. And everything I've done, may Allah accept it. But in terms of this, I made a video about this at some point, about people say how do I balance deen and dunya? How do I balance deen and dunya? Now, when something is balancing, that means the forces are opposing, right? And so, like, for example, you put two things on a weighing scale, then one is opposing the other. But the truth is you shouldn't actually be thinking like that. And the way I like to think, at least, is looking at the dunya through the deen lens, right? It's not that you can't, for example, because if you're effectively saying that, I need to do an X amount of good, and then I need to do, you're not really saying this, almost subconscious to say an X amount of something that will oppose that, if that makes sense, right? Which is not the correct way. Allah's made, Allah has made this earth and lots of things on this earth for us to interact with. And it's not like we can't find joy. It's not like that we can't find contentment in our lives. You can live an Islamic life and also be happy. You can live an Islamic life and also be content. But what's it called? The way you do that is by looking at the dunya through a deen lens. Now, what does that mean? That all that literally means is following the Quran and Sunnah, because Allah has put us on this earth. He's given us the instructions. The instructions are, if you want to be the happiest that you can in this dunya, the most content that you can in this dunya, and the happiest in the akhirah, follow these instructions, right? Everything that Allah has banned for us is not because is obviously the reason why we forego it is because Allah told us to do so. But if you really look into it, it's all bad for us, right? Everything like alcohol and zina and all of that, you look into these things, they break down societies. Every single one of these things, it's not just, I want you to do this because I want you to do this. Everything has a wisdom to it, alhamdulillah. But we don't do it because it has a wisdom to it. We do it because Allah told us to do it. For sure. But we realize that there's a wisdom behind it. So looking at this dunya through the deen lens really just makes you the happiest Muslim possible. And then now you mentioned, okay, how do you do that in terms of jobs and stuff? I don't believe that you necessarily have, and Shanaz mentions one of the other podcasts, it also depends on your situation, your economical situation. So what type of background do you come from? How much money do you, for example, are you making money? Can you keep that money? How much of your money is disposable? All of those things have to be taken into account. But I would say, make sure, first of all, that your income is halal and that you're doing it with the correct intention to provide for your family, right? So that these are one of the things that you can pull reward from. So when you go to work every day, you're going to be getting reward. That reward doesn't necessarily have to be inherently, that work doesn't necessarily have to be inherently Islamic. I don't have to be teaching Quran. I don't have to be, being a growth lead at Nia for me to be aligned. I can be working at TFL. I could be working in Deloitte. I can be working in KPMG. I can be doing all of these things with the correct intention, because that may be the path for you. So I wouldn't say that if you're not working in an Islamic based company, that you're not doing something right. It's really, a lot of it is about your intention and your mindset.